What's up, people, and welcome to the book club with one mother, three sisters, and a whole lot of hot takes and cool insights. This is the family plot. I'm Angel, the host and heart of the crew, joined by my baby sister, Cam. Say hi,
Hey.
Cam. She's our resident conspiracy theorist, and our mama, Lisa, the matriarch and occasional voice of reason. Say, hey, Mom.
You're on mute, girl. Was she supposed to start a mute? Hi.
We are joined by Glenna, my sister-in-law with the insightful take.
Hello.
The best sister-in-law
That there ever was. All right, so here's how we get down. Each month, we discuss a book of our choosing. Every week, I'll share a brief summary of the chapters we've read, and then we each pick a discussion question to answer. We'll also share our first impressions, predictions, and anything else that comes up along the way. So if any of that interests you, pull up a chair, pour some tea, get cozy as we dive into this month's book right here on the Family Plot, where every chapter digs deep. All right, ladies, y'all ready to get into week 3? I see you, but I don't hear you.
I got.
Well, let's do this. Let's do this.
All right. Moving into week 3 of Elite by Mercedes Lackey. Give me just a second. All right, we are discussing chapters 11 through 15. All right, let's get it going. Joy continues her dangerous sewer patrols, uncovering a troubling pattern. Multiple dead Simons, most of them elderly, appear in the tunnels with no clear cause of death. Each time, the senior Psi Corps official orders her to stay silent, increasing her suspicion that the organization is hiding something. She confides in her uncle, who warns her to keep her mental shield strong against possible Simon manipulation. Joy begins to wonder if Ace himself had his memory altered when he betrayed her. Meanwhile, Mark undergoes his trials for elite status. With determination, creativity, and Joy's training, he passes and becomes the 16th Apex Elite Hunter. His wedding to Jessie soon follows, though Joy notices Jessie's jealousy and unease with life in the city. Joy gives her a handmade guidebook, hoping to help her adjust. Despite the celebrations, Joy's burdens mount. She faces waves of new Othersiders, including a giant spider and more Nagas. She has prophetic dreams of her murdered friend Carly, which she interprets as warnings of a larger surge to come. The hounds comfort her, reminding her of their loyalty and partnership. As more Simon bodies are discovered, Joy suspects political games are unfolding between Psi Corps and her uncle's forces. Over dinner, Josh admits he knew one of the supposed elderly victims and insists that the man was young, deepening the mystery. Soon after, Josh breaks off their relationship, possibly to protect her or himself from Simon's scrutiny. Joy is formally interrogated by Abigail Drift, the powerful Psi Corps chief, who accuses her of murdering the Simons. Her uncle defends her, exposing the questioning as a political move. Afterwards, Mark confides in Joy about Jessie's struggles, and Joy offers strategies to help Jessie find belonging. Still, Joy feels trapped between duty, secrecy, and the unsettling possibility that enemies, human or Othersider, are manipulating events from the shadows. Ladies, first impressions. Wait, did I see a hand raised? Somebody? Anybody? Okay.
There was a comment. I had a question.
Question. Go
It
for
wasn't related to this though.
it. Okay. Never mind. Mother, first impressions, please. Come off mute, Mom.
Since I can't cuss, I'm gonna just say the smack is getting real.
Yes, agreed. It definitely is getting real.
And with that, I yield.
Thank you, Mother, for that assessment. Cam, your thoughts?
Girl, listen. My face ain't never stayed crunched up like it did reading this section. Because let me tell you something. If she ain't know how to describe nothing else, that giant spider took me out. I was done. Because she started with the legs as big as my arms. I looked at my arms and I said, absolutely not. Because what are we doing here? My arms are, they're a little thick. Nah, I don't like it. Not here for it. Not here for it. And then what you mean mandibles chomping down at me? Excuse me? No, thank you. Giant blob with 8 shiny eyes? No, I don't like it. And I don't like that I was able to accurately visualize that either. It was not given. That whole little scenario, and it was only a page and a half. It bothered me. Because ew. Just ew. And then also, ooh, I can't say that. F Josh. And I yield.
Wow. Yes. Giant spider wasn't on my bingo card at all. It definitely put me in the mind of Aragog and Harry Potter. I wasn't feeling it. It definitely wasn't given. But dang, F Josh, we'll get into it.
Yes.
Glenna,
Gosh.
first impressions, please, Glenna.
Sorry, I'm enjoying the F Josh component of this. The whole Mark thing, I loved every second of his trials and the celebration of that and the wedding and all of that. At this point in the book, my only hope has always been that his wife finds meaning in whatever she chooses to do. And because I can kind of feel for her. She's plucked out of where she was with her family, the way she knows. She's thrown into a city that she knows nothing of how to deal with. She's around people who are, in her mind, leading a purely secular and non-holy life. The shock value of that alone is enough to make you go, okay, she needs as much grace as possible right now because she's in a situation she's probably never been prepared for. Because the way they describe the family units of that culture is that they isolate themselves to stay sane in their world. So the kind of, let's not just do this, let's just dump her in the middle. But that's the way of their people, so I get it, but I have a lot of empathy for her at this stage. And I think the jealousy is to be expected, to be honest, because, this is somebody who's female, who is working with her husband closely. I can understand her not understanding that relationship, since that those typical kind of dynamics don't exist in their culture. So I really like the way the way the author's handling this particular situation, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that develops. The dead Simons are definitely an interesting little twist. I'm keeping all opinions on those to myself, and I'm going to preface that I would like not to answer the first question that's on the list, mainly because I know more because I've read the book before. And I'm afraid I'm going to answer too much of that question. But I think the author is handling the situation beautifully. It's definitely got me interested as to what in the hell is going on. Why is this happening? Why is this being handled in this way? And that's peculiar because it's super sus with how, Psychor is responding. How do I word this? There would be a lot less suspicion on what's going on if Psychor wasn't overreacting every time she finds a body. If they handled this a lot cooler, I was like, oh, Well, that's happening. Oh, that's weird. Oh, well, this is an interesting coincidence. We'll have to look into that. Is a whole lot better than you better not tell anybody. And with that, I yield.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Mom, I see your hand is raised. I'll let you go ahead and ask your question before I get into
First of all, let's go here. Him getting married, beautiful thing. But you cannot bring an Amish woman, because that's actually how they living, into the big city and not expect her to go stir crazy, because she ain't got sugar honey iced tea to do. Because there is nothing about his current culture that will keep her entertained. So it's literally like taking an Amish woman and putting her in New York City, crazy, cuckoo, and she got to find a life, okay? And she got to find a life. But let's talk about this side core thing. And you're right, mad graphics with the spider. But the side core thing, they behind the stuff. I'm a firm believer. And I was trying to keep quiet till Glenna brought him up. I'm a firm believer. Somebody back there in the back of Sidecar is experimenting with some stuff that's causing them people to age rapidly. And they dropping them bodies because they ain't got nowhere else to go because they too scared to go out in the neither regions where all the outsiders is. So they gonna just drop them suckers in the sewer somewhere and go for the gusto. Hope they deteriorate. But see, I think it's somebody in Sidecar that's doing something. And I'm a hush after that. But that's all I had to say. I'm gonna yield again.
Thank you for that, Mom. I agree. And I'm thoroughly entertained by your passion on this. Cam, I see you have a hand raised.
Okay. I'm thinking back on some of the other books that we have read. And a common theme that I have seen amongst male characters is a lack of adequate communication. Because I truly feel like Jessie wouldn't be struggling as hard as she is had Knight explained to her, this is my job. This is what comes with this job. These are the people I have to work with. And yes, some of them are women. I might be teamed up with this specific woman because she helped train me. These are things that Jessie needed to know prior to getting here. If you know that you come from a culture where the dad's pretty much just like, all right, off into the world, and you know that the women are, for lack of a better word, just naturally jealous of other women because that is how they were trained to be, she wouldn't have had to have walked into the situation jealous of Joy because Joy is spending all of this time with her husband. Joy is only spending this much time with him because they work together. And then it kind of dawned on me when she walked up on Joy and she was putting her hounds away and she said, oh, well, Knight never does that in front of me. Why is this something that you're hiding from her? Why are you not comfortable enough to share your job with your spouse when the only reason you have this job is because you wanted her here to begin with? You see what I'm saying?
Like Amish people. Them men didn't communicate with the women.
But if you kind of think back on some of the other books that we've read, Wrath didn't communicate. Nick didn't communicate in Legendborn.
Well, let's just put it out here. That's not a manly thing to do. Men don't really talk to women like that.
But that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of the times that women are struggling in some of these books that we're reading is because their male counterparts are not communicating. Well, and all of this, I can't say that it would completely go away because she is from a completely different culture, and he himself stated that it took him some time to adjust. But a lot of this angst and this insecurity and this unsureness about what's going on could be resolved with communication.
Yes.
that's a real anxiety for for folks in our regular current world, because most men don't communicate effectively.
So it was an observation. So with that, I
And
yield.
it's a very good one. It's very true. Culture relating aside, at the end of the day, yeah, you go back to the psychology of men don't talk as much as women, so they don't communicate like we do. You know, they can look and nod and know what the other one thinking, whereas you got to say some words, you got to say some shit. We got to hear it to understand what you talking about. We not guessing, we not mind reading. We're very different. You know, that men from Mars, women from Venus kind of situation going on. But again, when you add that element of that culture, that becomes the problem. And you're right, most men don't communicate effectively, and then you add this cultural barrier of how Christian men, or is that Christ men versus the Christian women, and how they communicate is a whole nother dynamic in itself. So yeah, that's why I said she got to find something to do, because she gonna go stir crazy if she doesn't, because of all of those different layers of factors that contribute to her levels of insecurity. So go ahead, Angel. I'm not saying nothing.
No, all very good points. I'm I'm just actively listening to each of you because you're making some very great points. Some things I had not thought about, some things I have and totally agree with. The Psy-Core experiments, I could see it. I could definitely see them doing some Tuskegee type, how you go from 20 years old to being 90 and then just dropping dead in a sewer. I could see it. I could see it. Now, to what end, I'm very curious, especially because they've exhibited this secrecy that we talked about. And I agree, Glenna, had they been forthcoming in their communication, it probably would make me as suspect of them as an organization. It also doesn't help that they have some tension between the Psy-Corps and the prefects, which Uncle is head of. So that makes me further wonder to what end and for what reason. Go ahead. I see you have a hand raised.
It's not so much that they need to be freely open with their communication. It's how strong, freely open communication, always the best way to go, as we've learned over and over in the books that we've read. But more specifically in this is their overreaction to her finding these dead Simons. If they'd simply gone, okay, thank you for finding them. Let's continue our investigation. We're aware something's happening. We're looking into it. Thank you for thank you for not disturbing the scene and whatever. That would have been handled and would have taken suspicion less off Psy-Corps versus the vehemence with which they are trying to shut down her ability to see, act, talk, questions, because it speaks more volume, at a higher volume, the stop, don't do, you will be blamed if you speak a word of this, is a heck of a lot more telling than, okay, thank you for the information, we'll investigate.
Agreed. And on that point, because their reception of this information is met with this vitriol and even a level of, like a superiority complex, it makes me further question the interactions between that organization and the organization that Uncle is head of. What is it that's causing that discontentment between the two? Why is it that the goal of eliminating other-siders and threats is being approached in two very different ways by these organizations? These are questions.
I can answer that one.
Are you going to, or are you going to make us?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
It boils down to basic politics and power.
See, if we could all just work together.
Ivory Tower.
Just work together. Hell, we all want the same things. Now, we might have different ideas on how to get to it, but if we all got the same goal, let's work in harmony. Come on. But anywho, yeah, I definitely don't appreciate the elitist and hatred coming from the side core senior or Abigail Drift. Personally, I don't appreciate the tone of blame coming up out of them. I don't appreciate any of the energy they bring to this scenario. It does make me wonder if I really dislike Josh as much as Cam because hold on. I wonder if Josh has decided to, cut things short with Joy because of how the Simons are, or cut things off for his sake because of how the Simons are. I don't know. Maybe column A, column B. And then these new other siders, the big spider, baby, I can't take too many more new monsters. And with that, I yield. Cam, I see your hand raised.
I would just like to say, while I find the man sus, I do not ever recall saying I flat out did not like him.
But you don't like anybody.
Glenna said this over the weekend to some authors. You know what? Look, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I'm on the F Josh train because of something that I knew was going to happen. I knew he was going to hurt Joy. I knew it. Still, Joy is that girl, and I don't like the fact that she had her heart broken. Whether he did it for the right reasons or not is beside the point right now. He did it. Never said I didn't like him. I don't, but I never said that. It's just more of I expected this to happen, but I wasn't expecting it to happen in the way that it happened. That's all. Never explicitly said I didn't like him. I just think he's very sus. And I kind of feel like the amount of sus that he's giving me right now is very much so giving double agent, and I'm not a fan.
As our resident conspiracist, I've just accepted radically that you just won't be liking people for real.
I liked Wrath in the end.
How many books did we get through before you liked Wrath?
2.
Exactly. 2 whole books, 8 whole weeks.
I do start to like people at some juncture, though. Give me credit. They just have to grow on me. Josh ain't grown on me yet.
All right, audience, tune back in when we read the end of book 3 of this series, and Cam might actually like a character. That's it, ladies. Any other contributions to your first impressions of these chapters before we move on to these questions? No? All right, well, let's get into these questions then. We have Mo Bodies, Mo Problems. Everything is not as it seems. The new Apex Elite. More Than Mark's Wife. I Dream of Carly. Drift Away, Abigail. Trust and Secrecy. And You Still Have Your Pack. Glenna, first question, please.
Didn't she say she didn't want to answer the first question?
No.
She didn't want to pick the first question listed, but she does get to choose first. Good call, though, Mom.
Trust and secrecy.
Trust and secrecy. Joy's relationships with Josh, Mark, her uncle, and her hound show her balancing trust and secrecy. Which of these relationships do you think is most important for her survival, and why?
Out of the ones listed, the most important relationship she's ever going to have is with her hounds. I think the absolute trust that she has to have in order to do her day-to-day job, and the fact that she clearly absolutely trusts her hounds. She's always seemed to have trusted them. It's the moment they became hers. She had, even as she's added to her pack, she's clearly always had a very trustful relationship with them. I think her affection for them has grown. I don't think her affection for Baya could get any stronger, but I think her increasing working one-on-one with Dusana is definitely increasing her affection for Dusana. She has true affection for all of her hounds, but she has favorites. There's no getting around it. And her two favorites are easily Baya and Dusana. Now I'm thinking Guacmai is going to become a soon third in that list, but definitely Baya and Dusana are her number one and number two, absolutely. I think Mark is definitely a trusted person, but I think as this book continues to go, she's going to be treating him with kid gloves until the situation with his wife evens out, simply because she sees him like a brother.
Mhm.
And the last thing she wants to do is harm his relationship, because then that would in turn harm her relationship with him and the friendship with him. And I think making the book for his wife was a very, very good thing. Was one of the best things she could have done. With Josh, that one remains to be seen. Even before yes, Cam, I agree. Even before him stepping away, I guess is the most charitable way you could word that. He was keeping things close to the vest, but my question is, was he doing that because Simons are taught not to form attachments, or was he doing that because of the politicalness of his job, or was he doing that to protect her? And until we learn his motives, whether or not she can trust him is questionable. And as far as her uncle, I think she can trust her uncle. I just think he's in a position where, because he's so public, he can't show it back to her.
Yep.
But I think if things implode in any way near him, he'll have her back.
Mhm.
Yes, Cam.
I think we saw proof of that when they had that dinner in his apartment.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a really good. I really enjoyed that moment because it was one of the rare times that we got to see the intimacy in their relationship.
I agree. I think the only other sign of that we had was, was when he was telling her the story from his childhood.
Mhm.
And I think those moments are fleeting, but that's because he's in the position that he's in. I
Yeah.
think if he was not in as high political position as he is,
Mhm.
their dynamic would be more apparent. But because he's where he's at, he has to be aloof just as much to protect himself as to protect her. And I wish there was another way around that, but unfortunately there's not. But I think the most important relationship overall will always be her hounds. But everyone else is kind of teetering on seesaws, for lack of better imagery, because everything's, like you say, balancing trust and secrecy. Everything's such in balance that until things settle or we get to the precipice of what we're heading towards, everybody's kind of out for themselves at this point. The only ones that truly have her back are her hounds and Mark to a lesser degree. And with that, I yield.
Good stuff, Glenna. Good stuff. Love the insights from my in-law. Hallelujah. And I agree. Yes. The hounds, I really like how you ranked them in order of importance to her. I agree. Baya is definitely alpha number one, captain of the ship. Dusana is definitely lieutenant in this ranking. Guachme and Mirrodin, absolutely sergeants. Love it. I got a little problem with Josh now that I think about it, because if Simons aren't encouraged to form attachments, what you doing making out with Joy? I just feel like this isn't in alignment with your goals, So, as the songwriter say, if you don't want me, then don't talk to me. Go ahead and free yourself. That's all I'm saying. Good stuff, Glenna. Ladies, any responses to Glenna's take before we move to the next question?
I wholeheartedly agree.
She 100% accurate.
Yeah.
All right. That said, next question. How about Cam? Go ahead and pick your first question of the night.
I will take Mo Bodies, Mo Problems for 200, Alex.
Mo body, mo problems. The repeated discovery of dead Simons raises disturbing questions. Do you think they're being killed, abandoned, or something stranger? How does this subplot deepen the mystery of Sycor's motives?
I think they're being killed by way of something stranger. I hadn't thought about it, honestly, until Mom came out with her theory, because while I was listening to it, because I did this portion of the book through audiobook while I was driving. But when they were talking about, well, when Josh was talking about, oh, I knew that Simon. And she was like, oh, no. He was old as dirt. And he like, I'm pretty sure I had classes with him. He looks very familiar. That had me thinking, just like Joy, how did a 20-something-year-old Simon end up to have the physical appearance of a 90-year-old individual? Because if Josh had classes with you, 9 times out of 10, you were Josh's age. So what's going on at Sicor to elicit such a visceral reaction when she keeps finding these bodies? And then you also pay attention to the fact that each time she's finding one, it's becoming more and more recent of a dump. Because the last body she found, Dusana came to her and said, hey, there's another human over here. He's warm. So he had just got dumped. And of course she knew, I'm gonna have to see this man again. I don't like it. Let me just go ahead and pull some stuff and steal his pie. She was on her A game right there. I would have did it too. That was hilarious. But the fact that she said this has happened, what, in a month's time? So each week she's going on these patrols and she's finding another Simon. And even Josh was like, this is a little weird, which is another reason I had a problem with him, because you asked her to dinner not as a date, but to question her. And that's what bothered me so much about the breakup, because you question her and then you just like, yeah, I think we need some space. That makes me think that he knows something. And whether it's for protection or to save his behind or to save Sycor's behind, whatever it is, I don't think it's fair that he sat there and questioned her, but then broke up with her with no reasoning. I don't think that was fair to her, which is why I have such a problem with Josh right now. So I do think the Simons are being killed by something. I can't confidently say experiment or non, or if they just, shooting people up and hoping for the best. I can't say that. But I think it's the reactions, kind of like Glenna said, the reactions that they are having about the fact that these bodies are being found is pointing to something sinister going on behind the scenes. And whatever that lady's name is was so far out of pocket trying to pin it on Joy. Joy is just doing her job down here. You shouldn't be doing whatever you doing and trying to pin it on somebody else. How about you just don't do whatever it is you're doing? That way, nobody has to look suspicious. Nobody got to point fingers nowhere. And we can all be happy and do our respective things, you know? And with that, I yield. Yes, Mom.
All I was going to say is it wasn't just to question. I think of course, he had the motive of, I need to break it off with her. But
Terrible.
I think the first reason he went in with the question, that first question was, did you erase that stuff off of your cam? Was in protection of her. Because let's be real, with all the psycho stuff and all the mind reading and all that other stuff going on, he's already keep telling her, make sure you stay protected, make sure you keep your shields up and all that other stuff. So there's some form of general like there.
I agree.
We knew he was gonna hurt her. We knew he was gonna have to break off with her at some point. But I think that the fact that he walked in and was like, hey, did you delete that stuff you sent to your uncle? I need you, did you do that? That was for her protection, because like you said, he knows somebody dirty over there at the core, and he knows they can check her purse com at any time and find that. And it's going to, put her in a situation. So number one, let's get you clear and free from a situation. Oh, and by the way, as he's thinking about it, did so and so happen, whatever, da, 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 da. But I think we need to take a pause. And I think he did that not just for himself, because like I said, I'm in agreement with y'all in that he knows something, but I don't feel like he knows exactly what it is that's going on, but he knows something going on. And the fact that he knows something got to be going on, and he can't put his hand on it, or he can't speak about it, means that I need not to be with you, because you're the one finding them. And like the book led you to believe that he may have done it because he feel like they either gonna probe him, they're gonna probe her, or they're gonna probe him to get at her, to get to her. So I think part of their reasoning for him separating himself is, I need to keep you safe. Because like I said, in past times, he's shown that he truly did care enough to say, hey, I need you to make sure you're doing this, make sure you're doing that. But, and I'm trying not to read your mind and da, 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 da. So I think there is some general feelings for him there. But again, like you said, it is suspect if your general agenda, you ain't supposed to be liking folk. But I'm pretty sure he read her mind when she first got off that train, and she was like, oh, this boy fine. And he was like, oh, she think I'm sexy. So yeah, he go experiment with that a little bit. Hey, oh, it's a chickadee out there that think I'm fine. Why not? Let's see where this go. Because in the beginning, I was more suspect than all of y'all, because I was like, he just trying to get to her to get on her Uncle Good side. But I think somewhere in there, and that may have been the initial reasoning for him wanting to be in a relationship, other than the fact that he read her mind and she found out she think he's sexy. But the fact that he started to really like her and get close to her, and was making sure she was staying alert and staying on top of making sure your shields are up and all this other stuff, I really feel like he started to get feelings that he probably didn't anticipate getting. And his whole motive behind, I need to separate from you right now because all the shit going on my end, that I need to make sure you stay safe. So I got to stay away from you to keep you safe from the foolishness that could come. And yeah, was it bad to do? Yeah, but I think it was a necessary thing at this point. Because like he said, when she's like, is this permanent or what? He was like, just for now. Let's not put a time on it. Let's just for now, because he wants this shit to boil over so he can start back. That's my personal feeling.
I think he don't mind having somebody to kiss on, so I would agree with that.
Well, who knows?
Well, I'm not saying I disagree. I'm just saying the reason that I was not okay with it was because he funneled all of this information out of her just to say, hey, we need a break. And even though he said, yeah, it's just for a little while, he didn't give her a reason.
Because
And I didn't think that was fair, because you got the information you wanted out of her and you just let her sit here confused
Mhm.
and
back to
heartbroken
that man communication kind of stuff.
and not wanting and
could have been
yearning
like,
for information that you're not giving. So, like we said, we knew that it was probably going to happen at some point,
mhm.
but I was not okay with it because he got what he wanted, but it left her wanting more. And I didn't think that was fair.
Yeah, he could have been open enough to say, hey, it's a lot of stuff going down in my job, and I just want to keep you, and I think that because the fact that they recorded every freaking where they go, he had to be real specific. And if he didn't slide her a note or something, I think the fact he questioned her was just to find out how in depth it truly was, which is why he was like, wait a minute, I need to separate from you, something go down. But he can't say that because they always being watched. They always being watched. Somebody can read lips around there. They got too many damn psychos.
That's true, but the same way you sat there and was comfortable enough in front of all of that
to be
stuff to ask
whispering all these
her,
questions, yeah.
hey, did you delete this after you sent it over here? You
But he
could have
was
said, yeah, we need a break because there's a lot going on right now. It's
Yeah.
not forever, but once some stuff calms down, we can talk about getting together again.
I
That
think that's
same
the reason.
courtesy that she gave him by answering his questions
He should-
with no holds barred, he should have been man enough. Since you out here being a man reading folks' minds, he should have been man enough to give her that same courtesy, because she should not have left there confused and hurt when he got everything he needed. She should have been given that same courtesy.
I will say the way Joy chose to exit that particular situation,
On point, baby. Fire.
queen status. She said, okay, I bet. Yeah, you ain't gonna give me no information. Cool.
Isn't that not what you do in those moments? Hello. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you
Look,
for
what
the
else can you
time
do?
together. Holla. And
She's like, I'm not about to sit here and beg you over some noodles. Bye.
perfect exit.
That's why I have a problem with Josh right now.
I feel you. Yeah,
I got
I understand fully now.
Got that. I'm done.
Any further feedback on Cam's question, ladies? No? All right. Mother, you're up. Which will it be?
Let me just say, Glenna ain't commenting because she know the real reason. That's all.
Clocked it. Mother, what question will you take?
I'm just gonna say, everything is not as it seems. But now let me do more than Mark's. I'm gonna do more than Mark's wife.
More than Mark's. Oh, before we do, I wanted to I had wrote a response to Cam's question. I almost forgot. What do we had? She had more bodies. It's not side chorus motives. Okay. Although I'm not super clear on what the side chorus motives are, I've noticed a pattern with how the seniors, Simon and Abigail, speak to Joy, and just in general this attitude of superiority, or what I can't think of another word for it, but it mirrors a lot of what I've observed in corporate environments, where it's not it's like the leaders have control over the narrative, right? So when something goes wrong, it's easier and probably sometimes safer for their jobs to frame it as a performance problem rather than admit their own strategic missteps. And
Well,
but yeah, I think of like whatever's happening in these sewers requires some accountability on some leader's part, whether it's the senior Simon or Abigail's. But accountability at the top could mean losing status, could mean losing your job. And Uncle kind of alluded to that a little bit when he was trying to save or stand up for Joy in that interrogation. it's just like I said, it mirrors some patterns I've seen working in the corporate world, that a lot of organizations, HR policies and performance review systems, it's not built around leadership effectiveness, but like it's more centered around correcting employee behavior. And I feel like the PsyCor, or at least the attitude that we're getting from there, is that hunters and prefects and everybody else is somehow subordinate to their organization, and they look at them like they work for them.
Exactly.
Y'all are employees.
That's what they act like.
That's how they act. I could be wrong, but I just thought it very interesting that y'all got shit hitting the fan and you need somebody to blame. And Joy has known that for every time she finds a body, that's her most initial reaction. How do I not get blamed for this when I'm the only one down here?
Well, that's a real thing, because that's you hit it dead on the head. That's corporate America all day long. And I don't care. And I'm not talking just white collar. I'm talking blue collar too. It's management. And not all management is like that, but a good majority of some areas.
Like said, it makes you look suspicious.
It does.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
That's it. Glenna, go ahead, Glenna.
Has anybody else noticed that the bodies keep getting fresher and fresher and fresher, and almost exactly just killed or just whatever right before she's about to walk down into the sewers?
Yeah. Right. So it's like they dang, they're planting them so they can say she doing it. Because they know somebody, look, it's too many goddamn PsyCor out there for them not to know that the uncle somewhere down the line and sent her down there to find out what's going on. So yeah, they sending stuff so they can say she doing it. But I like uncle is the man. Because what you ain't finna do is blame my child for some you doing.
Wow.
She ain't got no motive. She ain't got no reason. She don't even know them. She ain't around them.
And if she just want to kill something, it's plenty of new other side is popping up.
She out here popping other sides all day. She ain't got that kind of time to just be going around killing random side folk when she out here killing beasts to keep y'all safe. Don't come for mine, because I got you. Girl, I was so proud of Uncle in that moment. I didn't know what to do. I said, you better read that chick.
Now, Mother, your question you picked was everything not as it seems, correct?
Yeah, I said, yeah, that okay, yeah. Go on, give me that. I deal with Mark's wife later.
All right. Joy wonders if Ace's betrayal may have been due to memory manipulation. How would this possibility change your view of Ace's actions and of PsyCor as a whole?
I did not just say these folks up to no good. I ain't like, don't nobody like Ace to begin with. Because he is a bully. He's a okay. Don't get mad at me because I'm finna say a cuss word. But like the man in Rush Hour said, I ain't no punk bitch. He a punk bitch. I'm sorry. Ace is a punk bitch. He's a big bully who got mad that he got shown up by the new kid on the block, and she happened to be a girl. So not only did you get shown up, you got shown up by a female. So punk bitch. That's where we at with him. But anyway,
we agree with the punk bitchery. Yes.
Okay. But that's how but if PsyCor then snipped this boy's memory, which I very well believe they may have done, good for his ass. He the target because he been targeting folks for years. You've been running around here like you the king of all the hunters, belittling folks, putting folks down, acting like you the king snuff, and your stuff don't stink. Okay, you need to be taken down a notch, because nobody's out here perfect. Everybody out here trying to save everybody, but now you got your feelings hurt because a girl can do it better. Now you want it, man. You up here trying to kill folks. Now, yeah, I'm so glad he became the model prisoner, because that lets you further know something is up with this nigga, because he wasn't a model nothing when he was out here. Yeah. So yeah, he's an easy target because he up in prison doing nothing. Psycho all over in his brain. I'm pretty sure they experimenting with some of them prisoners too. But they let's use him as an example. Okay, so you're getting stuff done through him because you're manipulating his mind. And like I said, Psycho, I believe, I could be wrong, I could be far left field, but I believe Psycho has been playing in folks' minds for some whiles, for a good length of time. They playing over in his, they playing in their own people's. They probably, and you know what? I don't know why this popped in my head, but just like um they were talking to Mark about honing in and strengthening his skills by practicing them more and doing more things and exercise. I really feel like Psychor was trying to elevate the size abilities and may have been doing some type of experiments to do that and realizing that it's causing the psychors to age. But they also know they have this level of once they know they have this level of manipulation, they can manipulate the folks who are not psychors, and they've been playing around in folks' brains like that. And I think Ace may have been one of those experiments as well. So would that change my view of Ace's actions? No, he's still a punk bitch. He's still a punk bitch. Because even though they may have taken away this fool's memory, I'm pretty sure he know when he's swinging a weapon, when he doing some devilish stuff, and he may not remember it later, but you know in the moment what your Ace Snapple is doing. But as that core, yeah, I like I said, I go back to Divergent. I feel like Psychor feels like they were is it abnegation? Was the blue?
Erudite.
I think they erudites. They are the supreme being of knowledge and should be ruling the whole thing. That's just why they got problems with Joyous Uncle. I really feel like that's how, because they can read people's minds and they have the ability to do mind control. I feel like they are superior to everybody else. Therefore, they should be leading and not her uncle. And so, yeah, they're doing all these manipulation and tactics and all these other things to get a different result, to see how far they can push mind regulation, to see how far they can go with those who are not size as well as those who are size. So I'm really not liking Psychor because in the end, like you said, we ain't all got to get along. We ain't all got to agree on the same tactic, but we don't have to beat each other down if we all going about the same goal. Because everybody got an army, but everybody's army ain't running out here just going maliciously killing folk. They going out there trying to protect and serve. So if their army or their people are going out here doing that, why can't size go out and do what they need to do? Can't you manipulate them out of them outsiders' minds so they can go back to the other way? Why don't you play with that? You ain't trying to manipulate all the stuff that's coming to kill all y'all. See, that's what they should be playing with, not the people. They all up in the people's minds, all up in their brain schemes. You need to deal with some of them damn monsters. See, they're getting me riled up. Sorry. But no. So my view of Ace, he's still a punk bitch. And Psychor is still the elitist trying to be they ain't elitists, but they believe they are, and that's how they're maneuvering at this point. And do I like them any better? No, they ain't no better than the army. They ain't no better than the hunters or nobody else. Everybody has a special gift and talent. We have learned that from living. Everybody got a special gift and talent. We supposed to use them together for the benefit of the greater good, and they just ain't willing to play right. And with that, I yield.
All those in favor and in agreement that Ace is a punk bitch, say aye.
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 The ayes have it.
Along with being the biggest dick to have ever dicked.
And to that, I say aye. And we are all in agreement. We are adjourned on that. Moving on. My first question, I will pick the new Apex Elite. Mark's journey from trainee to elite highlights determination and values. What qualities made him successful, and how do those contrast with Joy's strengths and struggles? Ooh, one of the qualities that made Mark successful was his willingness to learn, his openness to new ideas, his drive, although he's being driven by his love and sense of duty to Mary. I feel like that gave him that grit to get through all four of them trials. How that contrasts with Joy's strengths and struggles. Well, Joy has been living a life where she has not had the luxury of not thinking strategically. She's always had to think 2-3 steps ahead. Her struggles, I can't really think of too many outside of her struggle against loneliness. But in that, I feel like both she and Mark want the same things. They both want that sense of community. They both want partnership. And it's not really much of a contrast there, at least to me. But how that desire shows up in them being good hunters, I think it allows them to connect with their hounds in a ways that hunters like Ace definitely did not. I think it allows them to connect with each other and train with hammer and steel and to retain the information, just because it's not just about taking in information, but about having a community and a collaborative effort. So, yeah, personally, I was glad to see that he passed. We ain't had no doubt he was going to pass. We rocking with Mark because Mark rocking with us. And with that, I yield. Any feedback on that, ladies, before we move to the next question?
Have you ever seen the TikTok where it's like, we out here vibing, and then there's Mark. They always use it when it's like a predominantly Black activity happening, and there's one lone white person.
Oh, he just happens to be named Mark as a scapegoat, Mark. I love it.
I'm gonna have to find one and send it to you. But the last one I just saw was this morning, and it was the Sigmas, or the male version of the Sigmas, the blue and whites. They were strolling at a university, and it's this whole 2 long lines of these Black men. And then it says, and then there's Mark, and they zoom in on the one white guy in the line, and he getting down too. That's just, when you just said that, that's what it reminded me of, Mark messing with us, because it do be some marks out there.
It do be some Marks out there. Glenna, your beloved brother has Mark tendencies. Oh, goodness. Okay. That said, moving into our second question for the night. Who gonna go first? Let's go. Cam. We're gonna pick your second question for the night.
You still have your pet.
The hounds remind Joy that she doesn't need Simon powers because she has them. What does this say about different kinds of strength, loyalty, intuition, and teamwork versus raw psychic or magical power?
Well, to me, it just shows which one is more powerful in the long run. Because the loyalty, intuition, and teamwork is what's getting them through in all aspects, whether it's I'm having a breakdown in the middle of the night and I need something to cry on. Oh, here's a dog. Or, there's a giant spider 20 feet over my head and I don't know what to do. Oh, the dog threw me out the way, so I didn't get webbed to the ground. Like there's more power in more brains working together. And in her specific team, there are 12 brains, be it 11 of them are animals. They are animals who have put their everything into her while she has also poured her everything into them.
You
And
missed
when
my
there's
favorite part where he's wiping the nose with the snot. Sorry.
Go ahead, Cam.
I just lost my train of thought.
Okay, I'll be good. I'm sorry.
No, I literally just lost my train of thought. I completely forgot where I was going with
We
that.
were talking about the fact that there were 12 brains, 11 of them are hounds. I'm talking about
You might have to come back to me. I have to remember what I was about to say.
Okay.
I don't remember.
I'm sorry.
So, in talking about the different kinds of strength, teamwork, magical power, anything like that, none of that ringing a bell for you? That's okay. All right. We will come back. If you do have anything that happens to come up, just raise your hand, ping me, and we'll make you do what you do. Glenna, what shall it be?
Drift away, Abigail.
Yes, girl, drift away. Abigail Drift accuses Joy directly of murder. What does this scene reveal about power, manipulation, and intimidation in Apex politics?
That Abigail is under the impression that her level of power is enough to get her what she wants without needing evidence to prove it. Because regardless of the fact that she's no longer an active standard hunter, everything she does is still videoed from the moment she leaves her room until she goes to bed at night. They choose, and that they explain, I think they explained it early in this book. I think one of the brothers did, Hammer or Steel, basically said, well, they still film us because occasionally they'll take some of the stuff that we do and show it on the general feed as if it's mild enough, so they don't show the horrific stuff, but they show the kind of stuff that's a little too much for a regular hunter to handle by themselves, but not, needs a full crew kind of thing. And kind of show it as, here's what your elite are doing for you kind of thing, to kind of remind the populace that they're overprotected by, not overprotected, but they're fully protected from things even outside the barriers, because they always mention when they talk about this that they will take whatever's happening close to home and they will put it and give it visions outside of the barriers. So she's still cameraed and followed every aspect of every second of every day, which is why Joss tells her, you deleted your files, right? Because how could she have killed these Simons? There's no logistical way that she could have done it. And that shows the, for lack of a better term, arrogance of the Simons, and specifically Abigail. Abigail, there's not a better description I can give other than this. Abigail Drift gives Dolores Umbridge vibes.
Yes. Clocked it. Mm-hmm.
In her sense, in those books, in her sense of entitlement, in her sense of her own level of power, regardless of where she is in the power structure, and her sense of everyone does what I tell them to simply because it came out of my mouth. Now, she's playing a long game. We don't know what it is at this point. it's either pompous and arrogant, but in a right vein, or it's destructive and horrific, and we just don't know what it is yet. It's one or the other. But she's under the impression that whatever she's doing is the best, and anyone that gets in her way is getting in her way. And I think this had more to do with Joy's uncle than it does with Joy, but they're using Joy as leverage. I think that's why the bodies keep getting more easy for her to stumble on. I think that's why the bodies are less dead than or having been dead for a lesser period of time than the others. Because like she mentioned, the first one had obviously been down there for several days because it had been stomped on and things like that, trampled on. The second one was obviously been down there for several times, and the last one could have been dumped that morning, if not an hour before she went into the tunnels. So I think it's simply setting her up, but I think the way they've handled the situation to keep Joy out from being a suspect, so to speak, was one of the best ways. The way her uncle handled that conversation was epic, and I loved it. And with that, I yield.
Yes, yes, a million times yes. Mama, see you have a hand raised.
Didn't they say the first body looked like it had been eaten or something? Somebody had been eaten on it? Or was I thinking of something else?
She postulated, if my memory serves me correctly, that it had likely been consumed partially by the
Ogres or something?
the troll, whatever, the ogres or whatever they found down there.
Yeah. So that one had to have been down there for a minute because it looks like it sounded like, based on the description, it had started to decay and they had started to eat on it or something. Yeah. So you're right. The timelines for the deaths are closer to when she's down there.
And that in and of itself was setting, like, I had a feeling that we were going to get something similar to this scene when the last body that she found popped up and it was still warm. I'm like, okay, they're setting her up for this.
Yep. I think so too.
So,
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Yes. Drift away, Abigail. Drift away. No one likes you. Let's see. Mom, what will it be? We have Mark's wife and Carly left.
Is Cam ready?
Girl, I completely forgot what I was saying.
Do you remember your topic?
I remember the topic, but I don't remember what track I was on. I had it, but it's gone now.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
That's why I'm supposed to stay on mute.
I'm being good for the rest of the show. Okay, I'm gonna be on Mark's wife.
As a general housekeeping, I would encourage anyone to write that out as we go on.
And I'll raise my hand from now on. How about that?
Raising your hands is fine, but if you got multiple thoughts as they come in, just which will it be, Mother? More than Mark's wife or Audrey?
More than Mark's wife.
All right, let's get into it. Jesse's unease in Apex and jealousy of Joy reveal cultural and personal tensions. How does her storyline explore the theme of belonging? Do you sympathize with Jesse's perspective?
Her storyline, the theme of belonging. Well, she comes from a sect or a foundation where a lot of what they did centered around belonging to a certain religious belief, a certain practice, a certain lifestyle. So there was a lot of types of belongings where she came from. And in her storyline, somewhere down in there, she and Mark fell in love and were loving each other despite what their typical behaviors were. Because, like, one of the things to me, what was prominent to me was Mark made the statement, her father gave her to me. So the first impression is that it was an arranged marriage. And he was like, no, it's far beyond that. We love each other. It's not an arrange where I just got to take her because her daddy giving her away. I actually love her, and her dad has given approval for me to wed her. Um, so I think in just that, she knows she belongs to him, despite the fact that she was still living amongst her community. And um, the fact that she's now come to Apex and she's jealous of Joy, the cultural revelation in that is that in her culture, I did not get the image. I was very much imaged of the Amish folk. I'm gonna be honest. I was given very much the image of the Amish type of culture, even though it was Christian, and that they kept to themselves. The women did what the women did, the men did what the men did, and they did not really intermingle. That was the image that was portrayed to me in the book. Somebody else may have something different. But because of that, the fact that he is working with the woman would bring up some insecurities because that's not something that she came from. So she doesn't know how to respond appropriately to that other than to feel insecure, because again, she realizes the fact that you work with my husband on a daily basis means you know him in an intimate way, in that I haven't got to experience him because I've been living over here and he get to see you every day. I don't even get to see him every day. I just got here. So you bring up those insecurities, the fact that she knows information about him that he has not shared with her. And like Cam said earlier, let's look at the fact that men are communicating again, which is a cultural situation. And that causes tension, that causes insecurity, that causes uncertainty. And in some cases, it could cause fear, because she could possibly fear that. Well, we know she has some fears. She already didn't feel comfortable in just the clothing that the Apex people wore. She felt more secure in a worker's uniform, because she's the type of woman that she came from that culture where you did not show your body. You know, you can't have the low dip blouses. You know, she does not seem to be okay with adorning herself with jewelries and linens and all of those different very feminine things. So that's why I said they were giving very much Amish type lifestyle. But coming from that and then going into seeing a woman who not only dresses nice, and I'm pretty sure she may have seen a video or two where she has these gowns and balls, and the fact that she saw the gowns and she was like, oh, that's too much, I can't do all that. Yeah, there's a lot of tension there. There's a lot of not feeling like she's in a safe space anymore, or she does and cannot relate, because she's in an area that there's nothing really familiar other than Mark, who is gone all day long and who is not sharing his activities. We know he ain't gonna talk blood and guts, but hey, that neutral level of communication. Hey, baby, I gotta go out every day. I'll probably be gone for X amount of hours. You know, I'm a hunter and I'm doing this and the other, and I work with all kinds of people, some women, men, everybody. All types of hounds, and we come back to the mess hall. If you want to catch me when I come back in, catch me at the mess hall, you know, and you'll see me when I first come in. But otherwise, you ain't gonna see me till I get home. Because I come in, I grab something to eat, then I come home. Just to have that general conversation and base knowledge for her would have been great. Like was mentioned before. She's not even getting that. I don't think he's thinking that far. He's thinking, oh great, I got my wife here. Woo, let me do the job and go home. He's not thinking about all those other little levels. I do sympathize with her. But I also feel like this is an opportunity for her to step out of what she's used to, and she may not be ready for that. Most people are not ready, even though she stepped into being a married woman from a single woman, and she knows that's going to require some change. I don't think she was ready for the levels of change she would had to come in contact with. I don't think she was mentally prepared for the level of the different lifestyle that she would have to presume or take on, and the fact that she would feel more isolated because there's no one in this big city that she knows of that has the same background that she has. So she would find a hard time communicating and relating to other folks. And Angelita, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, I second a lot of that. The jealousy of Joy was a given, right? I just thought it would manifest in a different way, because when she described collaborating her hounds with Mark hounds to where she would ride Dusana and Mark rode on the back of Dusana with her, I thought somehow, some way, somebody was gonna have vid feed of that, and Jesse was gonna see that and be like, no, this nigga ain't writing on this hound right behind this girl with all his junk real close to her backside. Like, that's how I thought it was gonna play out, but it was a very different play out, resulting in the very same thing. I also I don't know if they're Amish per se, but there's definitely a very thick Amish-esque accent, because the girl was like thanky and paw and all the things that, yeah. I feel like that lack of communication that you're mentioning is also a lack of vulnerability, because men and women have the capability of not communicating effectively. Unfortunately, men are more socialized to not communicate in a way that we are familiar with and that we deem valuable for clarity's sake. But that lack of vulnerability is to protect them and to also keep them from feeling misunderstood. I don't necessarily agree with that, because that's not how you get your needs met. So it's unfortunately a recurring theme that we keep seeing among the male characters, like Cam had mentioned before. And one thing I struggle with Jesse's character, although I do sympathize with her just like you do, is that her upbringing makes it so that she doesn't think to take initiative over her daily activities in the same way that Mark didn't think to take initiative to figure out the extent of his powers and what he could do with them and what he could learn with them. They're both very limited in their thinking because of how they're being conditioned. Now, me personally, I mean, I know this don't work for everybody, but when I married and relocated, I wasn't sitting around the house waiting on, your dear good brother to tell me what to do or where we going and how. Like, I created my own life and discovered my own passions and hobbies outside of what we do together. And unfortunately, I know that that's not the case for many freshly married women. They literally just be sitting up waiting all day to see what their husband gonna say they're finna do, and that ain't healthy. Like, this new place to live, this new marriage, this was the prime opportunity for Jessie to figure out who the hell Jessie is. But she ain't do that because she's not conditioned to do that. And I thought that was really unfortunate. That's all I got.
And I agree with you, but it goes back to what you said, the way they were conditioned.
Mm-hmm.
Because the conditioning matters when it comes to the way you think, and it's not until you get into an arena with other people and that you actually are open enough to listen and hear the differences about people, that you wake up and see, oh wait, there's some other things I could do. Because had it not been for the other hunters, the elites, he never would know he could expand his beliefs, because somebody conditioned him to believe what you got is all you got. It gets no better than this. And I really believe that's why I said very Amish, like you say, Amish-esque, because they don't go, their culture is not progressive. They're like, being progressive is deemed is almost like sacrilegious. It's like, you don't do that. You don't go outside the sect. You don't do the progressive. Why would you want electricity when we got candles? Get closer to God. We got man-made light. Why would you want some electricity? We got horses. Why do we need a car? Oh, but the Amish nowadays then woke up, baby, because I go to the gas station, I see a van roll up, them rows roll back, and them women come out in them dresses, and they be so somewhere.
I saw a whole family of them in a van at the Culvers the other day.
Okay.
Oh, y'all ain't grew the beef yourself this time?
Okay. Look at me. But again, that's the real thing. So because of the conditioning, the years and years and years of conditioning, it's going to take a while for them to get to that point that you're right. You could, girl, you got too many things to do. And I think the fact that Joy made her the book was the first opportunity for her to go out and explore and get in, engage in some things, because her book was about navigating from our world into this world. I don't think she read the book. She didn't understand the assignment. So until she pay attention to the assignment, she gonna be stuck. And I feel sorry for her, because she's gonna have to get around some people and just wake up and recognize, hey babe, we can do some things. It ain't gonna be it ain't gonna be like home, but you can have a life here too.
Yeah, my heart aches for people like Jesse who are limited in their ways of thinking and what that does to their sense of self.
Yeah.
I hope and pray for anybody in that situation to, get that rain cloud dissipated from over them and to really like see the world through different eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Because she really could have had a great ally in Joy if she wasn't conditioned to be jealous of her.
And I think there's still an opportunity, because Joy made the statement. Now look, he gonna be dead tired. We had a hard time out there today. Don't be shocked if you say something and he don't understand and he, can't think straight. But yeah, it was rough. So go on over there and catch him and da da da. So it's in so many words. She's trying to let you know, even though she's giving you information on the fact that we worked together today, and she felt some kind of way. She's like, oh, please go over there, and he'll love to see you, but no, he might be out his mind, because he probably dead tired. We all are. We all came in here dragging. So it's not just him, it's all of us, So she's trying to navigate her way into easing her stress about their relationship. And I mean, she was even cautious about when he came out there and was like, hey, I got a problem.
I mean, it's unfortunate because there's nothing Joy could have said or done. No gesture would have been enough to combat all those years of conditioning. It's no in the parents at the school that you work out. If you offer some sort of support or correction or notification even on what their child is doing misbehaving wise, they're not responding always in an appreciative manner. It's offense. It's, oh, you've pointed out something I've done wrong. Don't talk to my child. Don't correct my child. And that has nothing to do with you, but it's how they think about their own parenting style.
Exactly.
Child.
And it's a handicap for her, unfortunately. That's why I said if she had just taken a moment to go through Joya's book and reached out and participated in some of them things, I'm sure she's stuck in that little book about how to navigate your world over here in Apex City. she probably would not have been so stressed out. Now she's still gonna have that jealousy because it's another woman with her man. But as she wakes up and she watches, when she starts to truly watch how people in Apex City is, the hunters and other folk actually get along, intermingle with each other, I think that's going to die down. I don't know if this book is going to narrate into that portion of it, or into that segment, but I think if she ever gets to the point where she actually is truly looking at how the hunters work around, and the fact that when before she became elite, they would go into the room and watch videos and stuff at night, and it'd be all of them, boys, girls, everybody. If she gets an opportunity to witness that, she would be okay. Well, probably not okay, because it's her husband. It ain't just a random dude she like. But at least she would understand the dynamics of how these people get along. Yeah, with that, I yield.
Good stuff, Mom. Good stuff. All right. Last question of the night. I dream of Carly. Joy's dreams of Carly serve as warnings. Do you interpret them as supernatural guidance, subconscious fears, or both? And how do they shape Joy's choices? I feel like the way the dream was written was very drive-by, but I think it's also very obvious. It's a supernatural warning, if you will. I don't think they do much to shape Joy's choices because she's already been on guard. She's already been warned of a surge of other sider creatures. She's already got these subconscious fears of being blamed for the murder. She's literally putting her life on the line every day. So I don't think it's shaped her choices in the way of how she hunts or how she navigates that. If anything, I feel like subconsciously she misses her friend. She misses that connection. And she wishes or longs for that presence of an elder female or someone to look up to. Not that she doesn't have that wisdom in someone like Armorer Kent, but I feel like the connection she had with Carly was one that she can't find easily in Apex City. And with that, I yield. Ladies, any response to that, or we move into... Okay. So
I'm gonna say, Cammy, since your buyer over there just came and laid his head on your chest like Joy's buyer do, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and answer that question as best you can. Going back to that question, Angel. Because you see how her hound just came and laid on her to give her comfort because she was distraught. I'm gonna need you to go back to that question and let her read it again.
That is not why he laid on me. He want his belly rubs. He ain't worried about me. I'm not distraught either.
I need you to go back to that question and let her take another run at it.
It's just a consequence of concussion. Sometimes I forget things. I take another gander at it though.
All right. Hold up.
And I've
did
had
y'all see Radar get all up in there and was like, hey, yeah. just like Joyce Byers. Yep. Come on. Let me lay right here.
Go back on mute if I answer this question.
I'm gonna get on mute right now.
Thank you.
I'm screaming. I can't with y'all. Okay.
So I recall saying something about the loyalty, intuition, and teamwork is what has gotten them to the point that they're at. She's climbed the ranks faster than most that are in her current position. There are currently only 16 Simons now with Knight. Somewhere in there. It's a low number, but it's because of the loyalty and the intuition of not her, but her and her hounds that have gotten her to where she is, because she wouldn't be able to fend off a murderer on her lonesome. And then I think I remember her saying something about the fact that not many people, if any other than her, can speak to each other. And that in itself is a huge advantage, especially when you're out on the field and you're not necessarily able to all be right there at the same place all the time. And even if they're not speaking, they can feel each other's feelings, which is another really big advantage when in these heavy situations that somebody her age might not normally be thrown into. Now, the physical and the magical power, while they are great, they aren't everything when you are one person alone. She has a little bit of both. She has the intuition, the teamwork, but she also has some form of magic that can help her when she's out working with her hound. So she kind of got the best of both worlds. Now she does not have the power of assignment, which I wouldn't want her to have it any more than her hounds want her to have it. It's a very manipulative power to have, especially in the way that they, being the Simons, are asked to use them. And with her having so many links to so many different minds, I agree that it is a good thing that she doesn't have them. But then I also think that if she did have those powers, she wouldn't necessarily need her hounds. I kind of feel like in this situation, she would be better with one or the other. And I hate that this came right at the end of this section, because I really would have loved if Baya would have elaborated to her when he said that. But we also know Baya doesn't elaborate on much. He just waits for you to figure it out. Honestly, same. Me and him are one and the same, because I just be looking at you too, waiting on you to figure it out. So I do think that they both can be good strengths to have, because not all strengths that a person can possess can be for the good. Ace being a perfect example, because he has been not great from the very beginning. But I do think that this, even though she has some of both, I think it's being used in a positive manner, which makes all the difference. Because you can have them, but it's how you use them that makes the difference. And I yield.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Mama, see you have a hand raised.
We say she don't have the side ability, but does she not? Because it ain't like the dogs are actually talking out. Aren't they reading each other's minds? Isn't she telepathically talking to them?
Yes, but they themselves are magical creatures. So it might be that ability is solely on them. She just has the ability to receive that information. I
So
don't
you
know.
saying that's not a side power? Because can they or can they not read your mind or be able to communicate? I mean, they can read minds and they can manipulate minds, and that even though they're the magical creatures are not manipulating, is that part of it? Yeah, Glenna, because come on in, because I'm thinking, is that not some form of side power? It may not be the same one the sides are using.
To kind of echo what Angel just said, it's only between her and specifically her hounds.
Okay, so
She doesn't have that ability to speak to anyone else like that or get readings off of anyone else. I think it's a link it's not so much a psychic power with her hounds. I
Mhm.
think it's a telepathic link, and I think
Hey.
those are two different things.
That's it. The
There's
yeah.
yeah. So I think it's just a telepath, and I think that has more to do with her hounds than it does her, because if you remember, she doesn't have that link with all of her hounds. She
Right.
has it with her original pack. She has it with the two she got from Ace, but she does not have that link with the one she got from Carly.
Okay.
But her hounds can talk to Carly's hounds, but Carly's hounds cannot speak to her.
Now, see, I didn't recognize that piece.
Yeah.
I thought all of them could.
No, because she mentions once about, and I think it might be like the first time she goes into the tunnel, that she always pairs one of Carly's hounds with one of her original set, because that's how they communicate. She conveys the information to her hound, and her hound gives it to Carly's hounds.
Oh, okay. Now, see, I didn't catch. I must have missed that one because I did catch how they couldn't just telepath into the place. She had to put them, carry them down or something like that when they first went into the tunnels. I remember that being a difference in them. So that must be also. Yeah, I remember that. I remember.
That had more to do with their mobility than anything
Yeah.
else, because hers can bamf. Aces have wings because they look like gargoyles,
Right.
and Carly's just look like hounds.
Right. They're just like hounds, so they couldn't vamp. That's what I was saying. I know they were a little more on the non-magical side because they could not do what the others could do. So yeah, you're right on that. Thank you for that clarity. And I stayed on mute.
Good stuff, guys. Any conclusions, predictions? Actually, I got questions for y'all. Because I was thinking about this when Mom had her question on belonging. We talk about Jesse. What do y'all think it takes to truly belong in Apex? Or is belonging fragile in this city?
Me personally, I think it depends on the person. Because I think once you figure out your connection, it's kind of like, how we said everybody has a special gift or talent. It's like once you recognize what your gift or talent is, because like this author, this particular writer has they're not as descriptive as the last author we read. However, they do give off good measures of information when they talk about the details of the city. So to me, I'm not seeing just hunters and size and army folk and criminals. I'm seeing all the different elements. You got architects out there, you got, all these different buildings with all these different you got workers of all different kinds. So you got all different things here. And I think once you find your element, whether it's a worker bee, a hunter, an architect, a museum culturist, whatever it is, I think that's your place to fit in. That's how you belong, because you belong with that entity of people doing whatever that entity of people does. I think that's why Jessie is having the challenge of belonging that she's having, because there's so many things for her to experience, and none of them she has ever experienced from where she's come from. So to belong in Apex City, you got to, number one, know who you are. And that's what you were saying, Angel. This is a time for her to explore and figure out who she is and find what she can do to fit in and show whatever talent she probably got buried deep down inside of her. Because let's be honest, she ain't explored none of this stuff, so she don't know what she good at. Yep, Glenna, go ahead.
There, in my opinion, is no true belonging to Apex City. And Mark describes this more in detail in the first book. But life in Apex City is strictly transactional. From the moment you walk through the gates or arrive on a train until you either pass away or you're kicked out. Because he talked about the people on spillover were people who tried to come to the city, but they're only allowed day passes to get in to search for jobs. And if they don't have a job, they're removed from the city at the end of the day. And how some people in spillover are people who are in the prisons. But the reason they have prisons is because if you've done something bad and you end up in front of a judge, your decision is, are you useful to the city in some capacity? And if that's the case, you go to jail. And if you're not useful to the city, you're basically kicked out into spillover, regardless of what your crime was. So, okay. I love you. And so I think everyone's existence in that community is on the edge of a knife. If you make a wrong turn, you get kicked out of the city, which basically means if you don't have the money to stay there, then your existence is from moment to moment of whether or not you behave. Because if you don't behave, you're shown the door. And it creates a society of people who need the things like the hunters channels in order to keep themselves entertained, to keep themselves out of trouble. Because I don't think anybody's immune to the, if you're no longer useful to the city, here's the door. So I don't think anybody truly belongs to Apex, because there is a matter of seconds that they could either be removed or done away with. So while I think that Jessie will need to find her place in the city, she's in a unique situation of not being there. She's there because of who Mark is and not because of anything she brings to the table. So she will need to find her niche in that area in order to survive her own sanity, because if she doesn't, she's going to go stir crazy. And I don't think the higher ups in Apex City are going to tolerate her stir craziness if she isn't found an occupation or something at some point in the future. And I look forward to how that's going to play out. But no, to answer your question, I don't think there's truly a belonging in that city at all. I think it's all superficial. People can have meaningful relationships, don't get me wrong, because you develop that on your own. But I think existence in that city is nothing but a transaction. It's what you can give the city into the story.
I could definitely see that. Cam, what do you think?
What Glenna said.
Okay, thank you for that. My last question, we talked a lot today about power and manipulation. Psychor's ability to control minds and memories just looms over everybody, and other siders be adapting, learning to breach the barriers and damage human technology. Joy is scared Ace might have been manipulated into trying to kill her. And so as we think about the types of power that have been described in this world, political, psychic power, magical power, which do you feel is most dangerous? Anybody?
Equal across the board. Because each kind of power is just as dangerous in the wrong hands.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ladies, anything to add to that?
I got a question for Glenna.
Yes.
Well, anybody actually. Because based on what you were saying, very good point, by the way, about belonging. Do you think that's the reason the Hunter Elite leader told Mark, if you're having a problem with your wife, let me know, because I cannot afford to have you out here stressed over what's going on at home when I need your head at like 100% in the game, do you think he would remove his wife if that became problematic?
I think his motivation, I don't know about that second part, but I can tell you that I think Armor Kent's motivation about the tell me what if you've got a problem before it becomes a serious problem because I can't have somebody distracted
Uh-huh.
is self-preservation. Because if they're in a situation where they're fighting for their lives and you've got a hunter who's thinking about I just had a fight with my wife because I didn't pick up my clothing the night before.
Mm-hmm.
That's an entirely that's a level of distraction that you can't afford in life and death situations. Now, do I think that Armor Kent specifically would have the ability to remove her? No. Do I believe he's willingness to put somebody in that position? No. Do I think he understands that there are those out there who wouldn't hesitate to do that in order to make the world more palatable to whatever end? Yes. I think that's one of the reasons why he wants to know as soon as possible so that he can circumvent any problems before they get to that point. But I think that is a secondary motivation for Armor Kent, not a primary one. I think the primary one is I want my fighters to be in the top mental and physical abilities they can have, and having a distracted fighter is having somebody who can get themselves and the people around them killed.
Exactly. I agree. I just was wondering on what was your take on that, because he made a statement that threw me. I mean, when he made the statement, it's like, I agree with you wanting to have your fighter undistracted, but what does that mean in terms of, there was another comment he made, I can't remember it, but it was like he was also saying, if I gotta remove this from you. That was the vibe I was getting. That's why I was asking. That was just the vibe I was getting. If I gotta take this, if I gotta separate you from your wife so you can not be distracted, we'll do that. And that was the vibe, and that just threw me off a little bit. Yes, go to the Bible.
I don't remember that.
But that's what I said. That was the vibe I got. It may not be anybody else's feeling. That was just the vibe I received. And I guess it was the tone in which I listened to it, because I was listening to that particular one. So it could just be me.
Yeah, we'd have to find that and revisit that offline, because I don't remember those exact verbiages. But and you did say you were listening to it, so it's possibly how
It could have been how it was read, and that's why I said, that's why I asked, because that was how I received it. So okay.
Cam, anything to add? Nope. All right, ladies. Well, if there's no other conclusions, predictions, questions, and the like, I'll see y'all next week for chapters 16.
No, you won't.
No?
No, you forget me every time.
My bad, dog. My bad.
Every time.
It's time for
So
Cam's
rude.
favorite part of the month, where we draw for our next book.
Yay. It's called The Magical Wheel of Reading.
The magical wheel of reading. I said the magical wheel of reading.
Wait, stop. That's not correct. Okay. And we're here.
So we will be choosing the next book on Cam's magical wheel of reading. We have all submitted our selections to Cam. She will spin the wheel and we will see what we are reading next month. Take it away, Cam.
So the options for next month are from Galena, A Deadly Education, A Dusk of Stars, and Legends and Lattes. From me, Stalking Jack the Ripper, The Ace of Spades, and Air. And from Angel, Bemused, Blood at the Root, and Curvy Girl Summer. Mom did not get a choice this month because she got the last 2 books in a row. So she'll be back with her choices in September. So the book for September is
Blood at the Root.
Hey, hey, back on the wheel. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. I think I have. Do I have it here? Hang on.
Do you have an author name?
Blood at the Root is a book by Ladarian Williams, and it is a young adult fantasy novel, the first in a trilogy. We love trilogies around here, don't we? The story follows Malik Barron, a young Black man from Alabama who discovers he has magical abilities and is accepted into a magical, historically Black college called Cayman University. There, he delves into his ancestral magic and uncovers dark secrets about his mother's disappearance. The book explores themes of family, legacy, and the power of community, all while blending elements of Black history and culture with fantasy. Very Harry Potter-esque, but with a Black boy at HBCU.
It looks like it's only a duo.
Is it?
Yeah, there's only 2.
He might be writing the third one right now.
Okay.
So yeah, it's very exciting. I love that for us.
It is in the cart.
All right, ladies. Well, now I guess I can wrap this on up. Next week, we will finish with our finale of Elite, chapter 16 through 20. Until then, I'll see y'all right back here on the Family Plot. Bye.
Bye.
It's the Family Plot. Come and see what we got. If you like mystery and fantasy, then this is the spot. It's the Family Plot. Come and see what we got. Follow on Instagram and YouTube and even TikTok.